Welcome to another inspiring episode of the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hosts Melanie Johnson and Jenn Foster are the owners of Elite Online Publishing. They're both Wall Street Journal, USA Today best-selling authors. We're really glad you're here because this podcast was designed for you. Meet industry experts that share their secrets and strategies. Get successful results for your business in money, relationships, health, and your life. Each episode is going to inspire you to take action towards reaching your greatness.
Hey everyone, it's Melanie Johnson. How are you doing today? We're doing fabulous over here. I have Jenn Foster, my business partner at Elite Online Publishing with me. Hey Jenn.
Hey everyone, how's it going today?
I hope it's going fabulous. So, everyone had the COVID-10, COVID-20, all that stuff going on. We've been sitting in front of our computers like crazy. I don't know about you, but well, we're all getting older every day, but I'm fighting everything going down. I want to keep it up. I want to have energy. I want to just go. And there's all these great things that you can learn how to do that. So we have a superhero expert, Lillian So, with us today. She's not just written one book, she's written two books. One, So Empowered, Discover the 5 Layers of Your Body to Take Control of Your Life. And she has another book, which was The Fit CEO. So Jenn and I are both CEOs, so we want to be a fit CEO. So we are going to get into it, and you're just going to be like going after it this weekend. You're going to be more fit. You're going to get inspired. So Lillian, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Y'all are so dynamic, and I can't wait for this conversation.
Great. Well, thanks, Lillian. Let us know a little bit about yourself and what your background is.
Yeah, so my name is Lillian So. Obviously, I'm currently based in San Francisco, California. I was originally born and raised in Chicago, and I'm a daughter of Korean immigrant parents. They came in from Korea many, many years ago. And basically, I started my career in fitness. And, that career in fitness started, from a very young age, when I got very interested in weight loss and dieting and things like that, because I had a lot of extended family members that were very concerned about me being, larger than the average child my age. And really, the reality is I've just literally been the same height since I was like in 5th grade. So I've just always just been, I was always a big kid, and then it just kind of stopped. I always joke about how I've been the same weight for the last 30 years or something like that. So, but I started my career in fitness, as I felt like I needed to do something about all these concerns that my family members had. Like, oh my gosh, why is she so big? She's so tall, she's overweight, I was never actually really that overweight, but I can see how compared to maybe the average, very, very petite Korean child, I was a little bigger than average. So that got me very interested in fitness and dieting and whatnot. And that just carried me straight into college and what I studied. And then, the early part of my career was very successful in fitness. And then pretty much after I had so much success at such an early age, I felt like I just needed something different. And so I moved out to San Francisco, and then I started all over again and built my business back up, my fitness business from the ground up. And then I got extremely burned out, had my first panic attack. And then that is what catapulted me into all the other things that I eventually started studying and doing for myself around healing and self-discovery and therapeutics and yoga and all the mind-body stuff, all the woo stuff, all of that. So I've not only taken myself on that journey of all things health, wellness, and self-development, but then now I also do that with my clients as well.
Love that. And, kind of going into the CEO part of it, my battle is, and I'm sure it's other people's battles, like I have these great intentions and then life gets in the way, or I was up later than I thought last night working on a project or doing stuff with my family. And usually if I don't get in the morning, it doesn't happen. And I'm the first one to talk myself out of it. Oh, well, maybe I can work out later today. So how do we manage our hectic schedule to make sure we get it done and we stay in that program? I think that's a problem for a lot of people, is staying committed and being consistent.
Yeah, I love that question. I have a couple things that I want to say to that right out the gate. And the first thing that I hear is, I love that you're actually a morning person, that you like to do it first thing in the morning. And that's great, because what I'm ultimately hearing you say is you like to fill your cup first. And then when your cup is already full, and we've probably heard things like this before, like you gotta fill your cup. You can't pour from an empty cup. I don't know, maybe you've heard things like that before, but this is obviously something I teach as well. You got to put your oxygen mask on first. You got to pay yourself first. Even when you're on a plane, right? They always say, put on your oxygen mask first before you try to help the people next to you. My co-author for Fit CEO, she was in the world of banking. She was actually a CEO of Citibank for many years. And, one of the biggest advices she taught me over the years that I was working with her was that I should pay myself first when it comes to literal investments and things like that. And in that same way, now I teach my clients also fill your cup first. So you have to give yourself that attention, that care, whether it's spending time in meditation, whether it's nourishing yourself with some quiet time, getting in your journal, moving your body, whatever that is. And then once you have really given yourself all those things, then it's actually so much easier to give to everybody else, your company, your family, your children, your partner, and whatnot. So I would say first, just realizing and knowing that you cannot pour from an empty cup, that you have to pay yourself first, is a first and foremost thing to always keep top of mind. And then as far as like the practical, tactical stuff goes, I think it's just practice and repetition, right? Like you just have to get it on your calendar and you just have to make it a habit. Try to automate as many things as possible. And what I mean by that is, get things seamless, do it over and over and over again until it feels like an automation. You all run a business, so I'm sure you have all kinds of automations in your business, right? To make sure that it runs seamlessly and you don't have to do everything, manually by hand all the time. So in that same way, get your morning automated, get to the point where you're doing the same thing every single day. So it becomes more and more seamless. And then eventually it'll just become what you do. But, it does take a little bit of trial and error in the beginning because it just requires a lot of repetition and practice.
Yeah, I like that you said making it a habit, because I think that's like the biggest thing for me when I make working out a habit. How would you say, you say in your book, you can get healthy and fit in an easy way. How do you make that your food plan easy? Because there's so much, well, now everyone's talking about food prep, and then there's just so much coming at you of try this, do, only eat protein, don't eat carbs. And then the other person saying, oh, I only eat carbs. Or, how do you make it easy?
Yeah, I love that. I know this is such a thing. Oh my gosh, there's so much information out there. And, and the reality is there is no really one size fits all plan for anything, whether it's exercise, whether it's nutrition. I have clients that, do really well on more of a plant-based diet, and they feel great and they feel like they're thriving. And I'm like, hey, look, if you're thriving, that's fine. Go for it. You don't have to change it. But if you're not thriving, then that's when you can play and tweak and, all that stuff. So that's kind of like high level. But as far as making it easy goes, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm the best person to ask for that, because I kind of eat the same thing every day, especially during the week. So once again, kind of going back to the simplicity and automation, I'm really all about simplifying as much as possible. I know that I've had many clients, I still have a lot of clients that always talk about like, oh, but I can't eat the same thing every day. Or like, oh, I need variety. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to eat the same thing every day. And I get that. So I don't actually meal prep where I'm like eating a freaking casserole for 5 days in a row.
Yeah.
Do that per se, but I do keep it very, very simple. And I just have a few staples that I eat every day for breakfast. I have a few things on rotation that I have every day for lunch and things like that. And that is really what I talk about inside my book, So Empowered, is no matter what it is what kind of diet you're on, no matter what it is that you're eating or, whatever you're into, always make sure that you have protein and fat at every meal. And it's okay if you want to eat carbs, that's fine. If you like a salad, if you like vegetables, if you want to eat a piece of bread, like that's fine. But I think as long as we're not just eating just a banana for breakfast or just cereal for breakfast or just a salad and a piece of bread, I think a lot of times people think like they need to eat less so that they can lose weight, and things like that. But you just actually need to give your body what it needs. And so again, we got to change the way that we think about it. Rather than think about what do I need to eat, think about it as what does my body need to perform at its best right now. And some days you're going to need more performance than others. If I am teaching 2 fitness classes on a Wednesday, right? Like on Wednesdays, I teach my harder, more intense classes, and I'm going to be running around running errands all day long, and I'm going to be talking on stage or something like that. Then I know that I need that day way more fuel, way more focus. And so I cannot mess around. I cannot just eat a croissant for breakfast because my brain needs good fats. My body needs proteins. It needs the fuel to actually perform. So rather than thinking of, oh my God, what do I need? What should I eat? Instead, think, what does my body need from me today to do the things that are required of me? And so I hope that that's a helpful way to think about it.
Yeah, and you talk about energy in your book, and I think it's a big thing knowing what you need. Quick story on my son. I have a son who's 6'8", and he was overweight, and this nutritionist put him on this low calorie diet, and he was so lethargic. And I got him an Apple Watch, and we found out he's burning 8,000 calories in a day. And you're like, well, no wonder you're tired. Hello. So, his body needed to eat a whole lot more. Of course, he needed not to be, eating junk food, but he needed that fuel to keep him going. So I think your point is about having that energy. I think all of us, we get run down, worn out. And your point about eating protein and fat at each meal, is that the secret to keeping your energy up? What are the secrets to keeping your energy level up and not having those dips?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There are so many things to maintaining that energy. I actually talk about energy management quite a lot. And inside my book, So Empowered, talk about the energetic body, and we talk about all the different layers of the body. So, you are a physical being, you're an energetic being, you're an emotional, mental being, you're a spiritual being, you're also a bliss being. And so the best way to manage your energy is to really recognize that you are operating at so many different layers and levels, right? You need energy for your physical body to perform. You need your energy so that you literally are not lethargic, like you said. Need energy so that you can stay focused, so that you're not reacting, so that your mental health is nice and stable. There's so many things, right? And so as far as like the what do we do, first things first, I'm all about the basics, right? If your basics are not on point, that's the foundation. Everything else is going to fall apart. But we always end up neglecting the basics first because they're the easiest to let go. And so it really is as simple as sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night, drinking water, lots of water every morning. Like, drink water as soon as you wake up, not coffee. Right. Drink water as soon as you wake up. And I'm sipping on coffee right now too, but drink water, stay hydrated. Don't skip meals. So many of my clients who struggle with energy skip meals. It's really not rocket science. Like you said, your son, 6'8", burning 8,000 calories. We're talking about probably just at a sedentary level. At rest, our bodies are burning thousands of calories a day, even if we're just sitting at a desk all day. And so we have to account for all of that. So you cannot skip meals, eat proper meals. When you don't eat real meals, that's when you're reaching for that quick fix. That's when you're reaching for the bag of chips at lunch. That's when you're reaching for that, baked good or whatever. Because if you actually gave yourself, a couple of eggs and a slice of, avocado with some toast and maybe even a piece of bacon, I promote bacon quite a bit. I love bacon. I'm like, eat your bacon. I grew up in the low fat era. Remember Snackwells?
Yeah.
Everything was low fat and like fat was the enemy, right? And so I've had to retrain all that stuff. And you actually need that. That stuff gives you really long lasting, satiating energy. And you don't feel hungry for a long time when you're giving your body proper fat and protein. So don't skip meals, drink your water, sleep properly every single night, like deep, deep rest, and also move your body. It's really, really basic stuff. So eat, move, sleep, hydrate. And then also, I think boundaries is a huge huge thing that people are not aware of when it comes to energy management. And I could talk about energy and boundaries, and I can talk about lots of other things, but I'm just, for the sake of time, I want to simplify it as much as possible. Take care of your basics and remember, think about your boundaries. I mean, most of my clients come to me, they don't even realize, what it actually means to set boundaries. I think they think they're good with boundaries, but then really get into the weeds. They're not, right? And here's what I mean by that. So many of us expend energy in projects that we actually don't really care about. So many of us say yes to all kinds of social engagements because we feel obligated, or because we, we don't even think about why we're even saying yes to it. We're just so used to saying yes. We just want to be available. We want to be the good friend, the good daughter, the good partner, the whatever. And so we just kind of end up saying yes to so many things without even considering, hey, you just worked a 10-hour day. You started your day with a 5 a.m. boot camp class. You worked all day long. Your kids were in crisis during the afternoon. You spent a lot of energy. You had a couple fires at work that day. That already is a full day. And then someone might call you up at 7:00 and be like, hey, I know this is really last minute, but want to meet for a glass of wine? And then you don't really think about it. And you go, yeah, sure. All right. I might drive home. I'll meet you for a glass of wine. Next thing you know, you have 2 glasses of wine. You're up a little bit late. You get home, don't get to bed until midnight. You're a little dehydrated. You wake up the next morning groggy. And then you're wondering why you're constantly in this never ending loop of feeling so burned out. And so, we have to be better about really noticing, where we need to draw the line on people, on social events, work, projects, all of that. So boundaries, big time.
I love that you said that, because a lot of times you do get caught up in that and you want to say yes and you want to be there for your relationships and your family and your friends and everybody. But a lot of times we forget to think about ourselves and to set those boundaries and say no, right? Say no more than that. In your book, you talk about the 5 layers of the body. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So the 5 layers of the body is really, from yoga, and in yoga teaches us about the 5 koshas. So kosha is Sanskrit for sheets or layers of the body. And yoga basically, in a nutshell, says traditional yogic philosophy teaches us that in order for us to achieve, and I say that with air quotes, right? In order for us to achieve wholeness or to achieve enlightenment, for us to truly experience yoga. And you see, yoga actually means to yoke. Yoga means to unite. Yoga means to become one with yourself, become one with the world, universe, collective, and so forth. And so in order to achieve that oneness, wholeness, enlightenment, and whatnot, you actually have to take care of all 5 layers of your body. You have to balance out all 5 layers of your body. Those are your 5 koshas. And so the 5 koshas, or the 5 layers, is your physical body, your physical layer, which is the outer layer, right? Which is what we're all looking at with each other. I'm looking at your meat suit. You're looking at my meat suit, right? That's the physical layer. Then there's the energetic body. That's kind of like your battery. That's what keeps everything going. That's what keeps your vitals up, your heart pumping. Your mental, emotional body, I sum that up as your thoughts and feelings, right? Your thoughts and feelings take up a lot of energy, take up a lot of, it affects you a lot more than you realize. Then your 4th layer is the wisdom spiritual body. And then your 5th layer is your bliss body, or I like to call it your heart center. The true essence of who you actually are is inside the bliss body. So those are the 5 layers of the body, 5 koshas.
So I want to kind of jump back to about eating every day. And then there's the promotion of intermittent fasting. Mm-hmm. So, you're saying, well, don't skip a meal, but then they're saying, oh, it's much more healthy if you fast and don't eat anything, or eat 1 meal a day and only eat dinner. So, again, Jen was saying all this conflicting information.
I love this question. I'm actually surprised why no one has asked me this yet. Because
that was the first one.
Yeah, no, I love it, because it is such a huge thing. Intermittent fasting is huge. Mm-hmm. It's promoted by lots of experts. It's pretty much, there is actually, lots of various different data on like how, people who intermittent fast have X, Y, and Z results and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So this is how I personally coach my clients around these kinds of hacks and things like that. So when you are in the beginning of your journey, and so what I mean by that is, if you don't have solid, consistent routines yet, if you are all over the place. You don't really have a morning routine. You're kind of like, you don't really have like a solid handle on things. That is step one, is don't skip meals, right? Like have breakfast, have lunch, have dinner, right? Just so you can stabilize. And to me, that's kind of like you're creating a baseline for yourself. So that's like a great place to start. Now you have a good baseline so that as you start tweaking, and as you start playing, and as you start closing your feeding window, as they like to say in intermittent fasting, right? Or your eating window or whatever, you can start playing with that. And then you can start to notice and pay attention. But without a proper baseline, you don't know what's working. You don't know what's affecting what. It's kind of like if you do an elimination diet and you eliminate 20 things at once, like how do you know what the thing is that's actually making the difference? Is it dairy? Was it gluten? Was it sugar? Was it grains? It's like, do one thing at a time, right? So set your baseline first, lay down your groundwork, start by regulating there. And then once you have that solid and you're in a good place and you're feeling good, let's see if you can feel even better. And that's when I would say start to play with, if you would like, with intermittent fasting. Now for women, I don't recommend very, very long fasting windows because hormones and all kinds of things like that. So from there, what I would say is start with like a 12-hour window, right? So for example, let's say you fasting window, right? So you can start playing with what happens when, let's say you try for a week or two where you don't eat from 8 to 8. So 8 p.m. to 8 in the morning. And so like, that's a very reasonable window to start with. That way, you're being a little bit more mindful. It creates just enough restraint for you to become more mindful of those late night reaches. Cause I know I do that. It's like all of a sudden it's 8:30, 9 o'clock. I should be winding down for bed, but it's like, oh, I just want a piece of chocolate, or like, oh, I'll go reach for that date. Like I do that. But when I give myself like a fasting window, I notice I'm way more mindful and I won't do those things, right? Like I won't eat that like unnecessary like cookie at like 10 o'clock at night before I go to bed, right? And so I like to think of it more as a tool to actually build even more awareness and to deepen that awareness, and then to really start getting the benefits of it. Then you can start to close and close and close. And maybe you go from 12 hours to 13 hours, then maybe to 14 hours. I wouldn't really go more than that, 12 to 14 hours. I know that when I've done intermittent fasting in that way, it's helped me become way more mindful for sure about exactly what I just described. Like that whole 10 o'clock cookie thing, that's a real story, right? And so that is from my own experience. So that is where I would play with that. And I noticed that when I do that, I'm much more mindful of my sugar intake. I do actually, I do feel like I'm a little more efficient with my fat burning. I've noticed that I do tend to get a little bit leaner when I do things like that. But I'm hungry in the morning personally. I've also noticed that I'm a breakfast person. I don't like to skip breakfast, and my body tells me, right? My body tells me like, it's time to eat. Like my body tells me like, you're about to go and do really intense work. You're going to be holding space for clients that are working through all kinds of heavy stuff. Like, you just can't be running on water and coffee. Like you just can't. And so I think every single person is different, but use it as a tool and as a way to build more awareness rather than actually feeling like, oh, is this going to be the answer for me to like lose weight or whatever? So I hope that makes sense.
That really makes sense. And I really like how you say, look internally and assess how you're feeling. Because I think a lot of times people just say, oh, this worked for that person, so I'm going to do what they said. Okay, I'm going to have a 6-hour eating window. I'm going to have, intermittent fast for all this time. And then it doesn't work for them. And they wonder why. And it's because they're not looking internally and saying, is this working? Right? Like, let's see how this is working for me.
I think there's so many ways, right? You can do it. I mean, and as somebody who has been in fitness from a very young age, and I've tried all kinds of stuff, I remember when I was a kid, there was a thing that was trending in the Korean community. It was a banana diet. Okay. But it was not eating whole bananas. It was dried banana powder that you mixed with water and vinegar. That was the recipe. And like that was trending for a while.
Yeah.
And I even tried that, because like the people were like, oh my God, like this is crazy. People are losing like 20 pounds in like 1 month. And like, it's like, well, yeah, if you eat banana powder for a week or a month, you'll probably lose weight no matter what, And so, I've tried all kinds of wacky stuff, and ultimately now what I teach my clients is there's no one size fits all, with anything. And here are, instead, what I provide are ways to think and tons of options and tools for you to tinker and play with once I help you set the foundation first. So that's a huge thing. When people come in and work with me, we work on the foundation, the basics, slow everything down, get in your body. Are you drinking water? When's the last time you got in your body? Once we lay down those foundations, then we can just tinker. Everything is just now an opportunity to play, push, pull, tinker. But ultimately, I always say, go back to your intuition and let the wisdom of your body lead you. That's the wisdom, spiritual layer of the body, the fourth layer of the body. Your body knows. Your body knows what's made for you. And I really do believe in the whole, like, there's the whole genetic thing. There's the whole ancestral thing. Like I have, an Asian lineage, y'all probably have a completely different lineage from me. Like your body may be, equipped to process different things that maybe my lineage was never able to process. So yes, it may, because then you'll hear things like Mediterranean diet and this diet and like from different regions and whatnot. And so I think all of that, there's some validity to all of that. And I think instead of like thinking like, oh, this is the answer, instead, like, I think there's ways to pull from all the different, information and wisdom out there, and then, and really just listen to your own wisdom, because it will tell you. And the other thing that I want to add to that is I think our bodies are always changing too. So yeah. What worked in your 20s will not work in your 40s. What worked in your 40s is not going to work, when you're going through menopause, especially with women. We have so many different hormonal cycles and life cycles. So, I think it's just so important for us to have so much love and respect and compassion for our ever-changing bodies. When our stress levels go up, we don't process the same way we could. I certainly can't process certain things. Even when I'm like on vacation, I can process things way better than maybe I can when I'm back in my normal stress of my day-to-day work, right? I can eat more bread and cheese when I'm on vacation because I'm not also stressing out over certain things on the job. So my body can only process so many things. It's like, you got all this work to do. You're about to launch a book. And then now you want to give us cheese. We can't do all that right now. But then if I'm vacationing through Europe and my only job is to rest and relax, yeah, I could probably eat a baguette and cheese every morning for breakfast. It can handle it. So, I know that's a little bit kind of like all over the place, but I think it's all this to say, it's really building that awareness with yourself is everything, is key.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love everything that you said. I think you gave a wealth of information. My eyes were open today, really staying in tune with our body. Tell us where people can connect with you, Lillian.
Yes, so you can obviously find my books on Amazon by just searching my name, Lillian So, or So Empowered, 2 words, or even Fit CEO if you'd like to pick up that book. And then you can also go to my website, thesomethod.com. So that's thesomethod.com. Or a lot of times when I finish these interviews, I say, just look me up in the Google. All you got to do is just put Lillian So on the internet and like everything will populate, right? From YouTube channels to websites to all kinds of information. And at that point, it's not hard to find a way to get a hold of me. And I'm always in my DMs and emails. So, if you want to reach out, I'm here. I'll be waiting.
Awesome. Thanks, Lillian. We'll put your link up in the show notes as well as in the description on YouTube.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming today. And remember to subscribe to our channel because we always have fabulous guests like Lillian So on our show. And we hope you were inspired, motivated, and educated today. And remember, if you're looking to write a book and become a #1 best-selling author, remember, we guarantee that for all our authors. Hit up our website at eliteonlinepublishing.com and go to the submission button, and we'll see if we're a good fit for each other. Have a great week, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.